Our next paper bears the title, Pay to Play, There is a Way, How the NCAA Can Balance Fair Compensation with Meaningful Education. Please welcome Rick Roberts.
Imagine you had the opportunity to start your whole life over. You were born into a not-so-fortunate family in a rough, unforgiving neighborhood. But as you grow up, you begin to realize that you're not like every other kid. You have an ability that very few others possess. As you finish up high school, employers from countless companies approach you, all wanting you to come work for their company. And eventually, you decide on one. Once you get there, you work as hard as you can for a variety of reasons. Maybe to create a better life for yourself or your future kids, or maybe for your mom, siblings, or other friends. After all, they're all counting on you as the ticket out of their current situation. And eventually, you succeed. People all over the country are talking about you on television and social media. You earn awards, appearances on magazine covers, interviews on national TV, and maybe if you do well enough, a trip to the White House to meet the President of the United States. You are at the center of a multi-million-dollar corporation. Because of you, people are getting richer by the minute. Sounds great, doesn't it? Only one small problem. You are not allowed to earn as much as a dime in return for your work. Rules are even put in place ensuring that any bit of financial compensation that you earn could result in you getting fired. While you are sitting at home in your one-bedroom apartment, chomping on ramen noodles, someone else is living in a mansion, savoring steak and lobster on the back of your hard work. Bet it doesn't sound so great now, does it? Luckily, that isn't the case though, right? There's no way something that unfair can actually be happening. But that leads me to the most unfortunate part of the story, which is that it's not entirely fiction. This is the disheartening reality that college athletes face every single year. Since its origin in 1906, the NCAA has always maintained what they call the collegiate model, meaning that the athletes must be amateurs in their sport and that academics must be a priority over athletics. This prohibited athletes from making any money off of their identity as an athlete. And at first, this wasn't a problem. But due to media popularization in the last 20 years, many have started to argue that college athletes should be paid. And in October of 2019, the NCAA announced that starting in 2021, college athletes will be able to monetize their image, effectively killing amateurism and the collegiate model in the process. Because of this has raised the question as to what this new compensation model may look like. Although some would say that further compensation of college athletes is unnecessary, a profit-sharing system should be implemented that would allow college athletes to be employed by the university. This system would apply to Division I athletes and would allow them to earn a percentage of their team's revenue as long as they meet academic requirements that are set by their school. This would solve many problems that the NCAA currently faces. First, it would ensure that college athletes are actually attending and doing their best in classes, because a financial benefit would be tied to it. Currently, athletes feel that their academics performance comes second to their athletics. However, college was founded as a place of academics, and this standard must be maintained. Most of all, it is only just for players to receive a cut of the revenue that they are working so hard to bring in. And this would allow the players to interact with our capitalistic economy the way that it was intended. But many would still ask, aren't full-ride scholarships enough compensation for these athletes? It's a valid question. College tuition oftentimes costs upwards of $50,000. But there are two reasons why further compensation is indeed necessary. First, not all college athletes are on full-ride scholarships. The majority of teams are made up of players who are walk-ons and pay regular tuition, or players that receive a partial scholarship. So the revenue that they receive from the profit-sharing system would be the only compensation that they get for being an athlete. And regardless of their scholarship amount, they are still a part of the team and what makes them profitable. Second, full-ride scholarships are not an exclusive reward for just athletes. Full scholarships can be given to good students, artists, musicians, and many others. But none of these students bring in money like the athletes do. So while the scholarships are not exclusive, the money that they bring in is. Therefore, their reward should also be exclusive. Ultimately, change needs to be made. College athletes have the worst of both worlds. They are stuck in between the life of a professional athlete and a college student, and are not able to reap the benefits of either one. They bring in millions of dollars in revenue, but are not to expect anything in return. This terrible injustice happens every year and a lot closer than you think. It doesn't just apply to kids from the city or from the farm, but even kids from Santa Clarita. Our local athletic heroes are, have been, and will be victims of the system. So stand up to the system. Demand change. You do not want your child to be the one shaking hands with a congratulatory president one day and struggling to find a meal the next. Thank you.